that and then go get lunch. What do I feel like listening to? Let's listen to some Raining Moon. Alright, so let's get the frame data out right in front of me. So that way I can like double check when needed. Alright. So let's break down the fireballs one by one. So obviously 2 through 6A is going to be the bread and butter. So while the projectile is slow, most in fire, you have to keep in mind that it's +5 on block minimum. Which means when you do stuff like this, let's say like you do something like this. I might need the character on player 1 actually. Let me get Shiki. Alright, now let's try this again. Like, if you like jump over it, it can depending on how far you are, you don't really have to deal with people jumping in on you. You'll still be able to block. However, the sweet spot is around here. Super jump won't make you get hit at that range. Do you gain meter if they shield a special? Let's find out. Yeah, you still gain meter. So yeah, with that in mind, you preferably want to be around here when you're zoning the opponent. So not only for that reason I just shown, but also for the fact that if you do 2-2A, it's really easy to catch them for trying to dash up. I'm trying to like dash in between the fireballs and I'm getting hit. And at this range, it catches jump start as well. But if you're a little bit farther back, it won't. But more importantly, you need to, it's meant to catch them for dashing up and getting full combos for it. It catching jump start up at certain ranges is just a bonus. So with this in mind, when I'm like back here and I'm doing like, I'm just like shooting, doing this back to back, mainly taking advantage of my plus frames and the fact that I'm pushing you back so far. As for 236B, obviously it's meant to cover that nice diagonal angle. A lot of characters actually do not cover that angle well. Vlov does. It has a bit of a dead zone, like you see where like Vlov's hand is. So if you're like slightly above that, that fireball's gonna miss, especially at closer ranges. And then, as I shown in that match, let me give the meter. Let me give the meter back. Turn it back to all increase. You can, like, get air unblockable. It costs a meter, and you don't really get crazy damage off of it unless you pop Moondrive. If you pop Moondrive, you can get a really juicy combo. Let me get a video example. Found it. Here y'all go if y'all need an example combo. It's probably not optimal, but it's like a decent example of what you can do, and I don't feel like trying to execute it. So, yeah, generally, that's it for like the basic ones. So for the follow-ups, the uncharged ones have a very specific purpose. And it's when like these people are at like IED height and they didn't like land on the fireball. The straight one doesn't really stop people that are crouching. So if they're like advancing on the ground. So let's say I did a diagonal one and decided to shoot forward. It won't stop people from just running at you in most cases, unless you're like Kohaku, I think. Let's switch to Kohaku and check. Yeah, Kohaku's the only one that gets hit. So, it's great against Kohaku, not so much everybody else. So, uncharged one, you only really are going to use the anti-air one uncharged. Because it still covers a really good angle. Now, the charged ones, on the other hand, these are extremely good on block. It is plus 15, both of them. And this is assuming they're at point-blank range. So, with these plus frames... Because, like, notice how far back they are now. And since you have the plus 15, you can use that to, like, snipe some from, like, acting stupid. Let's set reversal action to jump. And 4 jump. Like a slightly delayed A stomp will catch jump stomp and then trying to dash forward. It won't deal with jump. Like, if you try to B stomp, you can catch people trying to dash up, but it won't deal with jump that well. Because the stomp is basically double. But Moonskill Stomp can also catch it as well. Or you can take advantage of the plus frames to run in. Like, you can, like, run in and get in Rekka range. If you block in the air, you just deal with the remaining block stun that you would normally be dealt with if you hit the floor. It's not like Marvel where, like, if you land and you were in block stun, the rest of the block stun just cancel. You still have to deal with the rest of it. But it's like no additional block stun to my knowledge. So, where was I? Yeah. So, yeah, you're plus 15 at point blank. So, technically, if they're blocking at this range, you're even more plus than that. So, you can take advantage of whatever you need to do. Now, 2-2. So, this is your fastest fireball. 12 frames, 11 frames in ice. This is... You generally want to use this to strictly call out either call out movement, or if you need a fireball that they can't react to. Because even if fired, they can't like reasonably react to like 2-2-A. It's too fast. And 2-2 and like 2BC as well, too fast. But 2-2-A is not that good on block. It's like -12 at point blank, and then if you do the follow up, it's -6. So if they block this, you would need to chill out if they have like certain special moves like Wart's like 4B plus C, like her Moonskill Fireball. Roa, most of Roa's special moves. Shiki 6B plus C, because you could potentially get counter hit out of your Fireball startup if you're out to some ranges, like around here. You're gonna have to chill. So try your best to hit confirm the special, because it has a really long delay window for the follow-up. So 2-2B is 0 at point blank, but it's a lot. But it's like double the startup, so I don't use it as much. But one thing it does have is that it is a low on the first stomp, and that farther ranges is plus. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything that I should be about it? That's it for the fireballs, aside from like the Moonskill versions. Moonskill. Oh yeah, Moonskill regular fireball covers a really good angle. Because let me see if I can pause it. So you basically cover the entire screen, unless they like super jump and then double jump afterwards. Alright, there we go. Yeah, they would have to like jump and then super jump right afterwards to like avoid everything. Because if they just like straight up just jump at you, you can cover that angle really easily. He also recovers very quickly, so it's like really easy for them to get air unblockable. Actually, you can do more than that. Just be careful if they like Moonskill. I mean, not Moonskill. Shield the Moonskill fireballs, because you cannot cancel into shield if they do so. So for that reason, you need to be careful with the placement. If you're around this range, you should be fine. Air fireball included. So long with the air fireball's case, so long as you get your double jump out, you should be fine. And in case you're wondering why I didn't really talk about the air fireballs, the normal ones, you don't really want to use those that often. The air fireballs cover a really specific angle, which is like this really weird like normal jump height, where the normal fireballs usually whiff, and the diagonal fireballs can whiff at times. And then for like the B version, you mainly only want to use these if they're at that angle trying to run at you. Only do these air fireballs if you're low to the floor. If you only do one, you could jump cancel the air fireball and block. This is not that useful in fire, but it's really useful in ice. Alright, so, with that in mind, let's talk a bit about ice before we move on to the record. So, in ice, all the fireballs have faster startup and they travel faster. So, the regular fireballs go from 20 frames to 11 frames, but instead of +5 at point blank, they're now -1 at point blank. Now, you're wondering why I still keep just doing stuff like this. It's because the travel speed is so fast that it doesn't really matter. So, let me switch to Cheeky Player 1 and Vlov Player 2. Because I look at this. So, like, the sweet spot is still generally safe. And the opponent has to be more careful because the projectile is bigger. So you treat it the same way. Just keep in mind is that, like, if you try to use the fireballs and, like, up close pressure, you have to treat it differently. But in terms of general zoning, it's still the same. It's just, they're better. 2-2. Yeah, like 2-2 is like 1 frame faster and 1 frame worse on block. So it just it travels that tiny bit faster. So if you're like doing stuff like this, it's still the same. Jumpstart still getting caught. Dash is still getting caught. And then for the Moonsco fireballs, look how big that is. Huge angle. And then ice is like same deal. Basically a shotgun blast. Massive coverage. And then in ice, this is mostly the same. So with all that in mind, yeah, when you see me like do stuff like this, it's like I'm at this angle, I'm like, yo, I dare you to jump. Like, just try me. And then if you just decide to just block, ice just does a ton of chip. Like, you're just getting stuff done. And all that good stuff. So, in the meantime, let's talk about shield. Because one thing that people are often complaining about when playing this character is that shield, like, yo, they just keep shielding my fireballs. Now, while that is not entirely good for you, because they're getting, like, a tiny bit of health back and not taking chip, it's not the end of the world. Because let's show how this works. So let's say I'm standing like here. They shield my fireball. Notice that I'm still plus. I don't really care much about them getting moon gauge, because you get moon gauge like candy in this game anyway. So it's like you're gonna have to deal with it eventually. So You mainly keep in mind that you are still plus if they just shield nothing your fireballs. However, what you don't want to do is not try to gain real estate if they're just doing this. Because even though they don't get pushed back, if you're at this range, they're not going to just easily react to your fireballs like this. Because the only time you really have to worry about them shielding and being plus is if they shield a 2-2, which they can't react to. You can easily light them up for trying to do this. Because if they try to shield at this range, they have to worry about your throw game, worry about them throw baiting you, and running in to do pressure. You mainly need to work on picking your spots at this range when they're trying to like just recklessly deal with the fireball. But if they shield vanish, you have two options. Well, three options actually. You can just 3C. To make this easier on yourself, you can just hold 1 while you're doing the fireball so that you can just press C immediately. You can delay Moondrive, phase through the move, and get a full punish. Or if you're not confident, you can shield the vanish, and then you put them in the RPS situation some more. You can also just straight up super them. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to people. If they shield 2-2, you have access to the thrust. But another thing that I do when people are like doing like shield vanish a lot and they're at the range where I have to potentially get hit by thrust, I hold down the D button while I'm shooting the fireballs. Because like if you pay attention to my inputs, I am like holding down shield so I get tap shield immediately. So what this does is that if they thrust, I'll shield it, and if they do the vanish, at full moon gauge I can block it, but at half moon gauge I'll take a love tap. Actually, no wait, I'm thinking about normals. Even at like no moon gauge, I can just... Yeah, even at no moon gauge, you can just easily just take the love tap. Now, the reason for this is because it's a fireball, and Vlov himself isn't a hit stop when you're shielding fireballs like that. So it's not like normals where if you're really low on moon gauge, you have to, even if you like OS shield at the fastest timing, you'll still get fatal. Second fireball, like hitting a vanish, is not really consistent. It only really works at a really specific range. and it's more often only happens in ice. So I don't recommend trying that to like hit the B fall. You can easily just like, if you're too worried about them like trying to gamble between Vanish and Thrust, you can just OS. That way, the only way they can really deal with it is by doing like a very delayed Thrust. There we go. Yeah, the only way you can really deal with this is doing a very delayed thrust. And most of the time, it's really hard to notice if you don't know the OS that someone is doing it or not. Because on your end, you'll just see it, just the shield happen frame 1. He can also OS his thrust like this, but I don't like doing that. It's too easy to mess up. Listen. That and you're basically just gambling half your gauge all the time. It's also a lot easier to punish. So with all that in mind, shielding the fireballs constantly is not an end-all be-all. But it does require you to, like, know what you're doing to deal with it. So it can be a bit infuriating when you're learning. While you're shooting your fireballs, hold down the D button. I can't set to the random shield, huh? Yeah, I don't think I can do. There we go. But yeah, if they get hit or block it, your shield won't come out. But if they do shield it, your shield will come out. You only really need to do it at this range where thrust is a threat. Even then, I don't recommend doing it all the time. Because if they know how to stop it, you're still going to eat shit. But if they're just autopiloting shield falls, this is a really easy way to stop it. Let's see. Yeah, last but not least, I'm mainly going to talk about the normals and the Rekka. Because, I am of the opinion that his Rekka is the scrubbiest move he has. It's kind of ridiculous how juiced the Rekka is. So, let's... So, like, the A Rekka is also his fastest poke at 9 frames, because everything else is like 10 plus. It's safe when spaced. And then if you get hit by it, you eat like a fat combo. And then just like everything else in the game is mad destroying. A Rekka's a low, B's a mid, but the important thing about B Rekka, it's like one of the few like really good anti-airs and neutral in this game. It's extremely broad and anti-airing. So let's say if they're at like that range where they're right above their head, it's not really gonna hit. But if you're like more spaced out, you can easily like anti-air someone with this. It's just not that easy to use against like charged VCs. Particularly Hisui's, I have a lot of issues with. From a roller's perspective, if you are having issues with Vlov, you are probably not using 4BC enough. But generally when you see me zoning and then I like start running in the range and just start hitting this Rekka, this is generally me taking the initiative and stopping your approach with normals. Because you're probably about to get into a range where I can't reasonably use the fireballs to cover that space. The Rekka covers that dead zone. How do you deal with super jump shield if they're zoning you out? If they're doing super jump shield, just don't press anything. If they super jump shield, you can just move under, get your badass combo, because it has so much lane recovery. Because they don't have any more actions until they land, and it's massive lane recovery. So all you really have to do is do nothing, move if you want to, grab a drink of water, and then kill them. But yeah, as Masuma is saying in the chat, super jump block, you can like do the air and blockable that I showed earlier. But even then, they're still taking a lot of chip if they're just blocking all these fireballs. So you're still winning. And also an important note about super jump shield. Notice that they stay in place after they shield that fireball. They don't gain any more space. So if they're super jump shielding from here, it doesn't really matter. So, does anyone have like any questions before I like turn off the stream? Because I pretty much covered everything in terms of like the zoning aspect. How good do I think Vlov is? Hard to say, because the better I got with Vlov, the more the matchups didn't really bother me. Because the only matchups now that bother me, because let's go to here. Because I think Roa versus Vlov sucks. I hate fighting Miyako. I hate fighting Hisui. CL's to be determined because no one plays this character like that over here. Other than that, I think he beats Akiha. I think he beats regular Arc. Probably beats Kohaku. Beats Saber. Red Arc is to be determined. Noel feels even. Koma is to be determined because I haven't bought that character that much yet. Shiki, I'm thinking even at the moment. But these Shiki players have been having issues. But yeah, I think he has a pretty good matchup spread at the moment, just off of first impressions. Unsafe, I did say he beats regular Arc. In terms of dealing with, like, this, though, I mainly take advantage of the fact that if they do something like that to me, and I have Moondrive, y'all just gave me free damage. So, stuff like that, I don't really care about. This, on the other hand, I do care about. Because these keys are a lot faster than most of my firewalls. But yeah, I think that's about it. What time is it? What else is CL really good at? Her general neutral is really strong, and her damage is really high. So you don't want to get hit by that character, generally. So I think she's fine. But we don't have CL players out in, like, the States like that, so it's, like, hard to, like, get a grasp on the CL matchup here. You want 2-man back for blood? Yeah, I don't mind. Let me just turn it straight. So let me just find someone to host now. Oh, Kimono streaming. Yeah, I can just send y'all over there. Anyway, I'll see y'all around.